Hey people, welcome back to the All Things All American podcast, where we talk all things All American. This episode is going up on Monday, the 17th of February, and I'm so sorry it's late, but to be honest, I wasn't going to record and upload an episode this week. But then I remembered why I started this podcast to begin with. This is my escape from life, from school stress and all of that. Like, this is literally the only show I'm actively participating in, on Twitter, watching live, rewatching the episodes and all of that. And I really wanted to share my love for the show with the world. So how else to do it than a podcast? So yeah, anyways, I watched the episode live on Monday, and I was live tweeting on my personal account. You know how live tweeting goes, you're more focused on what people are saying than what's going on the screen. So I was going to rewatch the episode somewhere in the week, but then my life literally flashed before my eyes. I got an email from my school saying I wouldn't be able to register remotely since my study visa isn't ready. And like, that's beyond my control. And they're here talking about I have to wait until second semester. For context, the semester starts today, and I have to wait until July to go to school. What the hell am I supposed to do with myself for the next 6 months? I'm not having that. So yeah, this week and next week will be me trying to get in, like trying to beg my way into getting into school. Yeah. So I know I said we get a new episode every Saturday. By Saturday I meant Saturday morning. So the plan is to upload Friday afternoon, latest Saturday morning. But the next two or three videos, including this one, they'll be coming up a bit late, and you just have to forgive me. Yeah. So let's get into season 7, episode 2. Last week we started with the new gen. Let's switch it up a bit and start with our OG cast. Okay, so let's start with Miss Layla Baker, or Mrs. Layla Baker. So we meet Layla at the top of the episode, and she is panicking. She's really stressing about a possible baby because she's throwing up and basically experiencing pregnancy symptoms. And the first person she tries to tell this to is her husband, because top of the morning, who else is she talking to? Yeah, but Jordan isn't really picking up on what she's trying to say about the pregnancy or freaking out about pregnancy symptoms and all of that. He is very nervous about the day, because you know how Jordan gets when he's talking about Billy and the death and all of that. So yeah, and his first instinct is food poisoning, because Miss Thing, what do you mean you're pregnant? I don't think pregnancy is even a thought to him. It shouldn't be a thought to Layla either, but here we are. Yeah, so in this conversation, she is struggling, like her mind is racing, okay? But because Jordan is her person, she's really quick to pick up on what's going on with him. Like, she knows her man, she knows he's nervous, and she doesn't even wait for him to say anything before she picks up on what's going on with him. And like, it's very accurate, which is so it's interesting to watch, okay? Because we've been on a journey with these people. Like, early seasons, they barely interacted, but they were up to date with what was going on between each other. We have the Cortillian episode, where is the first big interaction. like Jordan taking care of Layla in a way, making sure she's okay. And yeah, then we go to 307. I'm a liar. 308, where he's reassuring her that she's really, really strong. Then we go to into season 4, where they're best friends, and then all these things that have happened, and like now they're settling into married life. And I mean, if you're married to your person, these things should happen naturally. So it's really, really fun to watch. Yeah, so she's able to calm him down and reassure him that, okay, all this nervous energy you have about your dad's commemoration and your new job, forget it. You are going to be fine. You're going to be amazing. I believe in you. So stinking cute. Okay, so Liv comes in and that conversation is interrupted. So yeah, and I mean, as the episode progresses, you see Jordan really, really internalize that. Like, he carries her words with him throughout the episode, and okay, we'll get to that when we talk about Jordan. But yeah, now, with Layla, in season 6, she mentioned that not only does she suffer from depression, she also has an anxiety disorder. Okay, so moments like these where she's having a pregnancy scare, her mind goes into extremes. You get what I mean? Like, you know how when you're anxious about something, it's the worst possible scenario with her. What if I lose the baby? What if something goes wrong? What if I have a complicated birth process? I mean, they don't say that, but I'm assuming that's what would be going through her head because her emotions are heightened and all of that. And from what I've researched personally, when you have someone suffering from anxiety and something really, really big happens, it's usually encouraged for them to reach out to a support system, okay, to help them process those emotions. Like, what about what I'm feeling is my anxiety speaking and what I genuinely feel? Because I mean, when something big happens and you have anxiety, your first instinct is to panic, okay? Then you want to calm down and be like, okay, let's lay down what we know and I don't want to say decompress. I can't think, oh my gosh, I can't find the right word, but I think you know what I'm trying to say. So her support in this moment was Liv, but Liv was busy with someone else, her sponsee. Okay, so there's that, and she has to go throughout the day trying to calm herself down, trying to navigate these feelings, which I mean she does in the end. So that's that. And I think the basis of her reaction when she sees that positive pregnancy test is not necessarily disappointment or devastation. It's more so shock. No, don't quote me on this, but I genuinely believe Layla thought her birth control failed. Now, I've never really had to look into birth control for obvious reasons, but from what I've read online, don't quote me on this, I don't know how accurate it is. When you take birth control, you are messing with your body's natural composition, your hormones and all of that. So it's normal for your period to be altered. So it's either you get light periods, you can miss your periods, like they become irregular, or even late periods, like it's normal. So it's nothing to be concerned about unless you have a reason to believe you're pregnant. Okay. Now, Miss Layla, for you to be jumping into those conclusions. What have you been letting your husband do? Anyways, sorry. Yeah. So they've obviously been having careless fun on their escapades and christening the house. So I mean, are we shocked that she's scared she's pregnant? But I mean, from her reaction, it's very, very telling to me anyways that she is taking heavy precautions to prevent a baby from happening. She's not ready for a baby, and last week I spoke about it a lot from a career point of view, but we have to remember Layla's parental situation isn't great as well. Remember in 612, for some reason they try to make it seem like Jordan and Layla haven't spoken about kids when they've been babysitting AJ and Jordan's obsessed with babies. Anyways, so Jordan mentions how he doesn't know if Layla wants to have a kid yet because she has a rough parental situation, and this factors into her decisions of whether she's ready or not to have a baby. Okay. She was in therapy a little over a year before. Don't quote me on this, I can't think at the moment, but I don't think a year is enough to get over a lifelong struggle of trauma. Okay, Layla reimagined this whole relationship that her parents had. In her head, it was, loving. Like, JP loved her mom so much, and after Monica passed, he couldn't cope with the loss, so he took off. Like, that's the narrative she had in her head, and she had to deal with the reality of what actually happened. Like, her mom loved her, yes, but it wasn't enough to actually fight and work through her mental health issues and all of that. And her dad was helpless because, I mean, you can't help someone that doesn't want to be helped. So that's something she has to continuously work through. And like I said, I don't think a year is enough to get over that. So realistically speaking, she is not ready to take those steps, and this is where her anxiety factors in. Like her, I don't know how to say properly, but I think you understand where I'm going with this. So yeah, her situation, her home life is taking a more precedent role in her thought process about having a baby at the moment. And yeah, so now Liv is supposed to be her support system, her chosen person in the moment, because Coop is at school, her husband's working, JP is useless, everyone else is gone. So yeah, and she's trying to speak to Liv about it, like, are you okay? Like, not really are you okay, but like, are you available to speak? But like I said, Liv is busy with something else. Now, I just want to make it clear that I don't blame Liv for rushing off or any of that, because for one, Layla's not entitled to Liv's time. Okay, and I think Layla is really, really good at accepting that. When she's not wanted or not needed, she's okay with taking a step back. So yeah, and I lost my train of thought, I'm sorry. But I understand why she would be frustrated with Liv, because I'm panicking. Like, this is really, really important to me. It's serious to me. Now, Liv has never dealt with anxiety. She has experienced addiction. She is a recovering addict. So it's very easy for her to relate to Elle and what Elle is going through. Elle is Liv's sponsee, okay? So between someone dealing with anxiety and someone dealing with addiction, Liv is obviously going to be more inclined to help the person dealing with addiction because she relates more, she understands that better. So that's where Liv is rushing to. She mentions how this is the only time her sponsee is available. I don't know how I feel about that. But yeah, so on her way out, Liv suggests that they should meet for dinner, okay? And Layla just has to accept it. I mean, does she really have a choice? Because for one, again, it's not her time, and two, Liv's rushing out the door, so she doesn't really get an opportunity to say something. Then, later, when Liv meets them at the event, Layla's already accepted that, okay, she's going to be busy for the rest of the day, but I'll get to talk to her at the end of the day. You know, I have to hold this in and stay composed until I can finally talk to her later. And Liv comes in and she's talking about, no, I've made other plans and I'm going to be late for dinner. And rightfully, she's allowed to be frustrated, okay? Because I'm trying, something almost life-changing is happening here, and you are not understanding that. You're not trying to make time for me. I've accepted that you're busy during the day, but I mean, an hour of your time. Anyways, so again, Liv is the one who suggested the dinner, and then she makes other plans in place of that dinner. And crazy. I mean, I would say something too. But that's that. Anyways, so at the end of the day, Liv and Elle come in, and Layla discovers that, okay, there's a possibility that the test she took in the morning may be a false positive, and she's on it. She buys every test she can find on the shelf, and she takes it, and they're all negative, and Miss Ma'am is relieved, okay, which further emphasizes my point on how I feel that she is seriously on birth control. I mean, she's petrified when she finds out. Like, she is putting all the stops in place. She is not ready to have a baby, and obviously she's going to take precautions to not have said baby now. So understandably so, she is relieved, and yeah, I'm happy for her. She doesn't have to deal with that yet until she's ready, and that's okay. Now, Jordan Baker. I would like to highlight that there's been a difference with how Jordan's dealing with people mentioning Billy post Billy's death, because remember, right before it happened, he literally felt sick to his stomach every time somebody mentioned Billy's name. Like, you could see him visibly become sick, but now it's better. He's still anxious a bit about it, like, the nervous energy, the fidgeting, all of that, but it's much better. Like, when Liv is giving the speech, he is smiling and he's actually enjoying it, and he's able to talk about it better now, which I love for him. Like, these are signs that he's actually healing and taking strides in that journey. Obviously, losing a parent it's hard. I mean, I can attest first-hand experience. It's hard. it honestly doesn't get easier, but you forget, okay? You forget what their voice sounds like. At some point you start thinking the memories you do have are you convincing yourself that it happened. Like, you feel delusional because as time progresses, those memories get further and further away. If you don't talk about them as frequently, details start vanishing. Okay, anyways, let me get back. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't get easier. The guilt of forgetting it starts consuming you, but he's doing much better. He's healing for sure, which I love for him. I really do. Yeah, and today is today in the episode is the first day of school, and also the unveiling of Billy's commemoration or whatever. His, like, the Beverly gene is being dedicated to him. Now, I think if you've been listening to the pod on a regular, you will know my stance on Billy. I'm tired. I'm sorry. You're not supposed to talk bad about the dead, but this is a fictional character. I think God won't punish me for that. But I'm tired. I don't know. In my opinion, the only person Billy was good to was Spencer. So, for one, I don't understand why they didn't wait until Daniel was here to do this whole Billy thing. Because, I mean, again, the only person Billy was good to was Spencer. And Liv by default, because Liv, they had mutual love for Spencer. You get what I mean? Like, Liv didn't care to some extent that Billy gave more attention to Spencer than his actual family, because Liv felt the same way. She was in love with Spencer, so I don't think it really bothered her too much. But yeah, back to it. I get sidetracked a lot, hey? I'm so sorry about that. Let's get back to business. So, like I said, I love that Jordan took a back seat from this particular event because of how I feel about his relationship with Billy. Like, yeah, the relationship wasn't as strong for him to be dedicating the rest of his life trying to, uplift Billy and what this good man he was and how much he did for the world. Like, absolutely not. I'm not having that. Billy did love Jordan, he just didn't like him like that, yeah, I mean, that's the family, isn't it? You can love someone but not like them, especially your kids. Child, I don't have kids, but I mean, yeah. And I'm saying this from a standpoint of how from season 1 to not really end of season 6, but from season 1 to 5:14, Jordan spent his life trying to get Billy's attention, trying to prove that he was great at football, trying to prove that having a relationship with him would be worth it, So for him to start propping Billy up would be, I don't know. Yeah, I don't want to see that on my screen. I'm sorry. Jordan becoming a coach is enough. Let's leave it at that. And that's that. Anyways, so it's the first day of school for Jordan, and the job is becoming real. Okay, he is a coach, okay, and everyone knows that he's a coach at Crenshaw, but there's a difference between this episode and last episode. Last episode, Yasi was acting out. He tried to ditch practice, and Jordan just, got there, and Yasi went to practice. Like, there was no consequence there. But in this episode, Yasi gets in trouble with Khalil, and Jordan has to enforce consequences to their actions. So it's, a little wake up call, a little reminder that now you're the adult, like they're the kids, you are the authority figure, and they have to listen to you when you speak. So I can't wait to see what they do with Jordan's character. Now, take this however you want, but I feel like Jordan is one of the only characters the writers didn't go into depth with. Okay, we know Jordan. Some of us love Jordan as a character, but we don't know Jordan. You get what I mean? Like, they did such a horrible job with writing Jordan's character to some extent. I mean, I don't know how to, but like, we know him, but we don't know him. You get? We don't know what he studied in uni. Like, what you do, what you choose for your career path, I feel defines who you are to some extent. So yeah, anyways, they are taking Jordan on this journey with Khalil especially, and I can't wait to see how it unfolds, because now I feel they're trying to give him a lot more depth, and we get to experience who Jordan Baker is to the core. Like, we know he cares, we know he's nice, he's fun, he's unserious, but now we see more of that in him caring for Khalil and taking him in and all of that. And yeah, kudos to them. But again, writers and the way they write for certain characters, what are you doing? Like in 611, okay, Jordan had Khalil assigned to him, and Spencer had Dion, okay, and in that whole situation, Khalil and Dion were fighting mainly about how Dion quit on the team, okay, and obviously Jordan should know that Khalil played, okay. I get that was over a year ago, so maybe I don't know. Oh my gosh, wait. Khalil mentions how Coach Bobby doesn't want him anywhere close to the... Was he kicked off the team? Oh, I want to see that. Because Priest says Khalil was good and he played for a while. He was playing while they were in high school. Okay, so I don't know why the writers forgot that. I feel like it has a lot to do with different writers writing for different episodes, so they didn't check. But yeah, Jordan should know that Khalil already plays football. Yeah. Anyway, so Jordan rediscovers that Khalil plays football in the gym while they're cleaning, okay, and he forgets his phone Jordan, okay. Anyways, so he loses his phone and he decides, okay, let me quickly go get it, and these two will be responsible enough to be on their own. Sir, why would you think that? Why would you think that? Also, I have a bone to pick with Breach. I was going to address this when we get there. But, sir, this is Jordan's first day out. How are you going to leave him with both Khalil and Yasi? Like, okay, so are we really shocked that these two start fighting as soon as Jordan leaves the room? No, again, Jordan, why would you leave these two alone? That's neither here or there. So he is in shock. Like, what the hell am I getting into? Like, apparently now I'm a guidance counselor and I have to keep these two kids out of trouble. So he tries to process it. Oh my gosh, sorry. So he's trying to process these emotions and he goes to his person again. These two, Jordan and Layla, and how they interact with each other, it's beautiful to watch, especially since we've been here for the entire journey, like every single step of the way. And yeah, so Jordan goes to Layla and he is pouring it out. Like, this is at Beverly, okay? And he's telling her every single thing. Because again, this is Jordan Baker. Every little thing that happens, Layla Baker is the first person that has to hear it. So yeah, they're talking and Layla's so funny. And Layla's talking about how, well, these guys are babies and will be good at nurturing and caring for them, right? And Jordan's freaked out. He's like, what the hell is this girl talking about? Babies now? So yeah, his reaction for that backs my point about Layla being on birth control. I'm sorry, no one can convince me otherwise. So yeah, they're obviously not ready for a baby, and as fun as practicing baby making is, they are taking precautions to not have the baby. Obviously, for there to be a pregnancy scare, they must have been slipping up somehow, but for the most part, they're careful. Okay, so he's a bit iffy about having the baby conversation with her, and he deflects. He's like, absolutely not. And he's asking for Liv, but he picks up on Layla's discomfort. Okay, then yeah, so they're sitting through the whole ceremony and all of that, and I like that they included how that guy that tried to get Billy fired was all of a sudden praising Billy for his work. I love that they include these little things in the story, like what actually happened, because they've retconned so much of Billy's story that you forget what actually happened in the earlier seasons. So that was nice to see. Yeah, and he's really happy. Like, he's just calm, he's embracing it, and he's happy that Liv is taking charge in this adventure, because that's Liv's forte now, I guess. Anyways, so he gets off work early, like he's home in the afternoon, and I also love that they addressed this. There's an interview Greta and Michael did where they also address how Jordan is really good at making time for Layla, and that was one of my biggest fears in last episode, like our last review. I was talking about how Jordan was out really late, so he doesn't spend enough time at home with Layla. But I'm glad they fixed that this episode. Jordan's home early and he gets to try to be a listening ear to Layla. But she tells him that she'll speak to him about it later, and he respects that. So that's the kind of relationship they have with Jordan and Layla. As long as what Layla is experiencing isn't affecting them as a couple, he is very respectful with her boundaries and her readiness to speak about what's going on. Okay, he doesn't push her unless she's actually, self-destructing and letting it consume her. So that was really, really sweet. We've also heard that Jordan and Layla will be having angst soon, and I said this before in the preseason discussion that there should be a wake-up call that it's coming. Let's not be naive. But what we know is that the angst isn't going to be internal. Like, it's not them fighting over something. It's going to be outside factors. And what I think for sure is going to happen is that Layla's relationship, or friendship rather, with Cassius is going to be one of the points of contention, because girl, you are trying to be a supportive friend to the man who's giving your husband such a hard time. And I feel like, again, they have a very respectful relationship between them. So it's not like Jordan can tell Layla who and who not to be friends with. Okay, if she wants to be friends with Cassius, that's her choice. So yeah, they have difference of opinions between themselves about their individual relationships with Cassius. So that's going to be, I feel, a point of contention within them, and a little bit of angst. And also Jordan trying to help Khalil, especially since Khalil moves into their home at some point. Yeah, that's going to be, I feel, some friction driving events. So that's that. Anyways, yeah. So in his conversation with Layla is just, trying to understand where he's coming from, but she is just a listening ear, okay? She's trying to help him understand what his emotions are about this whole thing that happened during the day and what steps he's going to take, which is what she wanted Liv to be. Like, she wanted Liv to help her process her feelings and separate what she's actually feeling from her fears, her anxiety, and all of that, so she can better relate to Jordan when she finally decides to speak to him. So that's a consistent theme. I feel like Layla is his person, like his go-to girl when he wants to express something and to help him figure it out. But with Layla, she wants to sort out her thoughts before she can sit down and have the conversation with him. And it's something they both understand, because I feel they have the foundations to do that. They understand each other really well and they communicate. So yeah, and in Layla helping him process his feelings, she won't impose, she won't tell him how to do his job, because that's his job. It's up to him to figure out. So she's a listening ear. She doesn't discourage him from pursuing Khalil as a player and bringing him onto the team against Coach Bobby's wishes, because I mean, we later discover that Khalil has some beef with Coach Bobby. I mean, he fights a lot. He's a problem child. I mean, he's a good child, but he's a problem child. So, yeah. But again, Layla won't tell him how to do his job, so it cuts off. But yeah, that's that. Actually, before I move on from Jordan, we hear in an conversation about something that happened off screen where Jordan goes to live and he's like, go this side and fix my wife. And again, it's a consistent theme between them, because he did it in 601 with Patience, where Layla didn't know how she was feeling. She couldn't wrap her head around her feelings with Patience and all of that. So Jordan goes to the source, like, hey, Layla is feeling some type of way about something you are doing, so go there and reassure her. Because I mean, it's between Liv and Layla, it's between Patience and Layla. Jordan can't answer for those other people when talking to Layla about it. So he speaks to Liv and asks Liv to reassure her that, everything's okay between them. And I'm glad that happens. So we have our supportive husband. Michael has made it very, very clear that Jordan's number one priority is being a good husband, a good partner to Layla. And in this house, we love, so love that for them. Alrighty, now let's move to Olivia James. First off, congratulations are in order for the happy couple. Yay! That's nice for them. I love that. I mean, that's where they're heading. There's a very distinct difference in the reactions between Olivia and Layla discovering that they're pregnant. I mean, the reactions to the positive tests. So Layla is actively trying to avoid getting pregnant, but Liv and Spencer are on a completely different page. Again, the difference in their upbringings, I mean, the latter don't have those fears, those factors to consider. Yes, Spencer has study issues from Corey leaving, but he had his mom. He had this loving relationship with her. Liv, I can't speak on too much because both her parents worked a lot, but what happened? She developed her addiction from that, but I feel like she worked through that, before Billy died and after her overdose. Both Billy and Dora became present, so they were able to fix that. She was able to move on, compared to Layla, where JP was just gone and her mom's dead. So with Monica, like, it's her forgiving a dead person. And I mean, when they're dead, they can't speak for themselves, they can't rectify their actions and all of that. So she just has to accept it, and that's a whole different ballgame. So yeah, with Liv and Spencer, there's nothing really hindering the progress. So I don't think they're on the same page. With them, it's if it happens, it happens, and yeah. So that's that. She's really, really happy to be having the baby. She is ready for it. Again, like I said, they don't have anything hindering that progress. And yeah, so we are happy for them. It's just that, when characters are built on real life people, it takes away the element of surprise. Okay, and on top of that, most of us figured that Liv would be pregnant before the episode even aired. So it's like when she got the pregnancy, it wasn't a shock, honestly. We knew it was coming. NK has already spoiled that she's having twins. We know that the real Spencer Paysinger has 2 kids, a boy and a girl. So she's having boy-girl twins. If I'm wrong, I'll be happy to be wrong. But yeah, those are boy-girl twins. And sorry, take this however you want, but they've made Liv's character the Billy advocate. Okay, all of a sudden Billy was the best man in the world. He was the best father. Ma'am, are you forgetting that he is the reason you tend to drugs and alcohol? But that's neither here nor there. She's forgiven him. It could never be me, but he's dead. Okay, so yeah, and like I said before, Billy's priority was Spencer, and Liv and Billy shared that love for Spencer. So I really won't be shocked if one of her kids is named after Billy. Like, let's be realistic here. So yeah, and in the whole episode we barely see Liv. I don't know, she felt very detached from the show. I feel that's what knocked the episode a bit. Coming from episode 1 was amazing. And then we have new characters coming in. We have Liv guest starring, but when you have a guest star, you would expect them to interact more with more than 2 characters there. She briefly spoke to Coop, she spoke to Jordan and Layla, but she has absolutely nothing to do with the new cast, so she just felt very, very out of place. I feel like the main thing she was here for was to introduce Elle, who works with Layla in 704. Okay, so that's that. I don't know. Elle could have approached Layla any other way. I don't think she needed Liv. So I don't now I'm starting to wonder if Elle being a sponsee is more about her recovery or more about having Liv's connections to what she wants for her career. Because remember, Elle was blackballed by the music industry. Okay, so with approaching Layla, she is trying to worm her way back in, and I feel like her way in is Liv. I don't think they'll explore that because I don't know how many episodes Liv is going to be in, but the fact that Liv explicitly says she is rushing to meet her sponsee because this is the only time Elle has, it's very strange because it's your recovery. Okay, if this is something really, really important to you, or if you're really, really struggling, you make time. You don't wait for an opening to happen, like the day you're free, to focus on your recovery. So yeah, that's where my thought process is coming from about Elle needing Liv's connections than her own recovery. But that's whatever. Anyway, so Liv is having pregnancy symptoms the whole episode. Her sense of smell is heightened and she is literally eating everything in sight. So, I mean, we all saw that from a mile away. And yeah, so she's ready to have the baby and she tells Spencer over the phone. I have so many problems with that because why don't the writers just wait until they have both Sam and Daniel on the show? You know? Why aren't we even at least hearing what Spencer has to say about them having a baby? We don't get his reaction, you know. A mess. They didn't do her return justice, but that's just me. Take that however you want. Yeah. Next is Coop. Okay. So Coop has her chosen family, which is Preach and Amina. And I really love that she starts her day and ends her day with them. Okay. Which is going to blow up if they take the route of Amina digging into what actually happened to her mom. Child, that's going to be a mess. But yeah. Anyway, so Coop starts with Preach and Amina, and Preach is telling her how Spencer made it out of the hood, and Coop is on that path. Okay, like the whole neighborhood is looking up to her to be the success story, and that freaks her out. I feel like that's what drives the panic attack, because now I have so much pressure on me. I have so many expectations set to be an example for everyone's kids. Okay. Because you know how in the first 6 seasons of the show, it was always Spencer's dream is hope for the whole community. Okay, Spencer making it to the NFL was for Crenshaw, not just for Spencer. So they're trying to pin that on Coop as well, and Coop is not handling that well. Like we saw, she's having a panic attack on her first day of school. I hope they get ahead of that. I hope that's not a recurring thing. But I understand it. I honestly do understand it. I personally experienced bad anxiety in my first 2 weeks of uni. I used to cry on campus. I went to claim it was because I was grieving at the time as well. But child, I used to have so many anxiety attacks. I used to cry so much. So I get what's going on here. Yeah, I hope it's not a big thing. Like, oh, yeah. Anyway, so we have Coop and Layla, who are still rebuilding their friendship. Sorry. I mentioned before how I loved their relationship in seasons 2 and 3 when they used to work together. I hated how Coop not pursuing music meant her relationship with Layla stopped as well. But I love that they're rebuilding that. Okay, why was Coop Layla's first call to like have the pregnancy test delivered and all of that? It's lovely. So yeah. That being said, Coop has a lot of support. Okay, Laura being in Greece still sent her lucky brief. Oh my gosh. So for Liv to have Laura's lucky brief, does it mean Laura moved to New York as well? Oh, interesting. Laura comes in a few episodes, so we'll probably discover where she moved to. But yeah, so everyone's rallying around Coop, trying to make her morning special. Amina makes her breakfast. Liv and Layla have her over. Or Layla gets her a muffin basket. So yeah, so even if there's so much pressure on her, she has so many people who believe in her and believe she's going to be great. Apparently her and Patience are still together. So yeah. So she is trying to call Patience to let her know what's going on, but Patience is working, so it's iffy that she's going to answer. And in this moment, she confides in her professor, who isn't introduced as her professor. Okay, she's just checking in, seeing if she's okay, and all of that. And Coop, we all know how Coop behaves. You give her an inch, she will take a mile. So she's talking about her professors going to hell and all of that. And the shock on her face when she discovers that this lady is not a student but a professor. Because she's really young. Okay, you wouldn't expect her to be an authority figure, okay, at her age. Yeah. So that would be fun to see and feel. I see a scandal happening over there. Oh my gosh, did you guys know that's Breezy's actual girlfriend? I didn't know. I honestly didn't, so imagine my shock. But I feel like off-screen relationships translate so much better on screen. For example, Kerry Washington and Tony Goldwyn, like, those two are really, really close in real life, and it shows with their chemistry on screen. So Breezy and her girlfriend's chemistry is going to be A1 on screen. Watch, mark my words. Yeah. Next is Cassius. Oh my god, Cassius does so much this episode. So him and KJ are in a hotel room type situation with a kitchenette attached, and okay, I can't say too much about it because they literally just moved to LA. But so if you're going to derail your child's life, at least put that baby in a home. Okay. So there's that. He's trying to maintain some sort of normalcy in Cage's life, trying to make him breakfast, but again, you're living in a hotel room. There's nothing normal about that. So yeah. So in this majority of the episode, he's dealing with Cage's attitude. But if you remember in last episode's review, I mentioned how KJ is from a home where he is allowed to express himself. He has a safe space, okay? So Cassius is understanding of that KJ he's nervous as well, okay? It's the first day of school in a new place. He just, I don't know, there's so much happening with his life and he's adjusting, okay? So his attitude is not acceptable, but it's expected, and he allows KJ to feel that attitude. So there's that. He's mindful of how KJ is feeling. So the next scene we get is in the school where he's looking at the trophies and all of that. And that guy, I can't remember what he is. What is he? He's the, I don't know, he's not a booster. Child, you know the man I'm talking about, Billy's enemy. Yes, that guy. So he comes to Cassius and he's like, no, don't worry about winning. We don't expect you to do that. We just, want you to keep the program alive. And Cassius is not having that because I'm here. It's my first day of school. You're telling me this nonsense about not wanting to win, not caring about winning, and you're dedicating the whole locker room to a man that's dead. Yeah. So Billy wasn't the last coach to have a championship. They had Coach Mrs. Montes, who got that championship, which was a bit iffy between Beverly and Crenshaw. She was there for a bit. I think the next 3 years, all these guys were in uni. And then over the time jump, she and Asha left. So in that process of her and Asha leaving, I feel like is where the discrepancy comes in. I refuse to believe Coach Montes was a bad coach and couldn't deliver wins for the school. So I don't know what the hell happened to the team. Even the locker room, it just looks so abandoned. Like, are you sure this is a team? Like, this is a football team, a thriving team. Come on, they need to do better with that. Yeah. I mean, Beverly has too much money between all the students combined to have such a team. So they need to fix that. Anyways, so Cassius isn't happy that no one's taking the team seriously and they're prioritizing Billy's achievements in that year he was coaching over everything else. Like, come on, absolutely not. He's not having that, and he takes it out on the team. He's talking about welcome to Cassius City and all of that, and we're like, sir, please just relax. It's not that serious. But yeah, so we then see him interact with Layla, and like, he's happy to see her. Now, I've seen a lot of people talk about the chemistry and these two going somewhere. Absolutely not. I do not see that. Layla is basically the only friend he has in LA with Coop. Okay, so I feel like it was just nice for him to see a familiar face. Now, he is happy to see Layla, I feel, because one, she was nice to him, and two, she doesn't know that she's a baker. Sorry, he doesn't know that she's a baker. Okay? So I don't know what his reaction is going to be, but I mean, Greta has said they have an okay relationship, like a supportive relationship where she tries to help him navigate his struggles with Ava. So yeah. Anyways, so when KJ introduces Cassius to Jordan, it's like, it's awkward. Okay? And yeah, Cassius has all this attitude for Jordan, and it's stemming from the fact that one, KJ loves Jordan. Like, after Layla, KJ is Jordan's biggest fan, and Cassius is not having that. And two, this whole thing is being dedicated to Billy, and for some reason, Cassius feels the need to take it out on Jordan. Now, sir, please stop that. One thing worse than anything is childish adults. Like, so if you have a problem with Billy and how he's being commemorated, take that elsewhere. Don't take that out on me, because Billy didn't even like Jordan. You get. So yeah. Anyways, so he's having all this attitude with Jordan, and Jordan's shocked. He's like, "What the hell have I done? I've literally just met you." So that's the start of the Crenshaw Beverly rivalry between Jordan and Cassius, which, yeah, we are going to see a lot of, especially since Cassius and Layla are friends, and like I said before, this is going to be a point of contention between these two. And if you know me, you know I love drama, so let's bring it. Anyways, so he sits in the meeting, this whole event that's planned for Billy, and he notices that the football team is also affected by what's going on, that no one believes in them, okay? And if you have no one believing in you, even if you're working hard, eventually you give up. So they've lost their team spirit, they don't want to do it anymore, and Cassius recognizes that. So as much of a childish adult as he is, I'm glad he apologizes for being so harsh with the team, and they move from there. So kudos to him for that. Yeah. Next we have Yasi. I think we've established how I feel about this guy. Yes, he has issues. He has issues, and he's a bully, not just to Khalil, but to everyone, including Amina. He's disrespectful. The way he talks about women isn't it. I am not for it. How he was talking about Amina being with the guys at his house, absolutely not. I can see why Khalil hit him. Yeah. With Yasi, I don't even want to hear anything about him going through whatever at home, because I don't know, he's really enjoying this a role that he has of being intimidating and rude to people. And you know how it is when a bully is bullying someone and you don't want to be the next target. You roll with it, like you entertain them, you laugh at their stupid jokes and all of that, which is what's going on at Crenshaw. I am not for it. I need Khalil to whack him a little bit when he joins the team. So yeah, so he spends the whole episode trying to humiliate Khalil, and Khalil isn't having it. Like, he is giving it back. Now, Khalil is a good kid, don't get me wrong, but if you have someone antagonizing you the entire day, at some point you're bound to snap. So that's that. I'm really hoping he gets into enough trouble to get kicked off the team. Yasi is who I'm talking about. Yeah. So we don't know what position Khalil plays. I don't think they've ever said it, but we know Yasi is a QB. So if Yasi and Khalil are beefing about being on the same team, I would assume they both play the QB position. So yeah, I need Khalil to take Yasi's spot and have Yasi kicked off. That's it. Okay. In this episode, we get introduced to Tori. She's so pretty. I feel Tori didn't have much of a storyline. It was more of a character introduction, and we are introduced to her through KJ. Okay, so initially we have KJ bumping into her and trying to read her. Okay, and she gets labeled as a beauty influencer because she has a ring light and a mirror and whatever in her locker. and she's offended, okay? And we let her find out that it's because she's a cheerleader and she's not doing it anymore. So I feel like this offense is coming from a point of, okay, I had so much going for myself, and now when people look at me, all they see is a beauty influencer. Like, is that what my life is coming to now? So I would understand why she took offense to that. I also love that they've introduced competitive cheer. So yeah, I would see why even people like Amina, don't take that the wrong way, but I would see why everyone would know who Tori is. Okay, because if they're going to competitions and they're actually winning, she's obviously making a name for herself. So there's that. But she fell and broke 3 ribs and suffered a concussion. Now, as much as her body is healed and recovered, she has a mental block. So I don't know if we are going to get taken on that journey, because she's not a main, she's not a regular. She will be in quite a number of episodes. I don't think they specified how many. So I hope we experience this journey with her, back to cheering and getting back on the team. Yeah, and I really, really love her character. Like I said, she didn't get that much of a storyline apart from being a support for KJ, but she is such a sweetheart. Like, we've established that she's struggling, but she still goes out of her way to help KJ realize that it's time to let go of the life he had in Auckland. Like, he's moved here and he left all that behind. So even his mentality of comparing his life back home to what's going on here, he should leave that behind too. And we love that. Next is Amina. Amina didn't get that big of a storyline either. We've established already that Amina and KJ are friends. She got feelings. We don't know if the feelings are mutual from Khalil's side. I don't know if I said her and KJ or her and Khalil are friends. Sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. But yeah, so Amina and KJ are actual friends. Amina and Khalil are also actual friends. And she genuinely cares about both of them, okay? She's not trying to save them to make herself feel better. She is caring for them and helping them rise to their full potential. Now, if it came to choosing between Khalil and KJ, like it came to this episode, she is choosing Khalil. KJ, I told you that she was feeling somebody else. This episode, you have heard or you have seen that she is feeling Khalil. She is changing plans, okay, that you made to go off with Khalil. And if you still pursue her, KJ, you are getting whacked by me. That's just that. Anyways, so Amina is also a victim of Yasi, but Amina, she's patient, okay? She's not as hot-headed as Khalil is, so she takes it, she just accepts that, yeah, Yasi is an idiot, and she doesn't retaliate, like she doesn't give him the satisfaction. Yeah, I hope I don't know. Anyway, so that's that. Now, when she goes to Beverly, obviously she is trying to make a beeline for Jordan to let him know what's going on, but she meets KJ. Now, like I said, KJ and Amina are friends. I see them getting really close in the future. So yeah, they're talking, and eventually the conversation turns to Amina talking about her mom, because KJ mentions his mom sending texts and he finds it very cliche, and Amina mentions that her mom passed away. Okay, so like Jordan, okay, Amina is starting her grieving process, and you can visibly see her close herself off to KJ when she starts talking about it. And yeah, so she's just starting her grieving journey. Remember when Mo passed, she was 10, 11, okay, and I don't think she fully got to grasp what was going on, and she didn't get to grieve properly. So this is it. Yeah, and in this episode there was a consistent theme of people making plans and bailing. Amina made plans with KJ. She agreed to meet KJ at the hangout, but then when she walks in and she sees Khalil, she is out. Like I said, if it came to pick between KJ and Khalil, Khalil is winning. It's not even a question. And KJ actually saw that. So again, if he puts himself in that triangle, it will be me and him. Yeah. I feel like the new gen didn't get much this episode. We have Khalil making it to school. So he was in a lot of conflict with Yasi. But like I said, if you have somebody who's just being silly and throwing all these insults at you, you're not going to sit there and take it. So I understand why he retaliated, but he's a good kid for the most part. We know that he's in some gang related activities because of who his father is, but he is actually making strides to do better for himself. Okay, he's coming to school, he is actually smart, so he is doing his work, you know. He was remorseful, especially to Jordan for his behavior, which I loved. So yeah, and in the conversation he has with Jordan, where Jordan's like, what do you want for your life? He says, I want to make it alive to see 21. So he's very conscious about what his actions could possibly lead to, and he's making strides to get in the way of that. So I'm excited to see how being on the football team and being in an extracurricular shapes him. I feel like now I'm getting a better understanding as to why parents put their kids in so many extracurricular activities. Like, if they're busy doing that, they won't have time to misbehave. So in this case, Jordan is bringing him onto the team so that one, he can have a closer eye on Khalil, and two, Khalil can be kept busy, okay, so that he doesn't have time to be running around doing other things. But we've seen some press releases and synopsis and all of that where we will see Khalil battle that, conflict of interest in the people of his life. Okay, where we have Jordan and Amina trying to pull him to be good, and then he has his life at home, his dad, his gang friends, all of those trying to pull him away from being better. So, it's going to be interesting. Anyway, so he does agree to play for Jordan, and yeah, I love that Jordan is going to be Khalil's guy, like somebody who believes in him to the nth degree. Yeah, yeah. I feel like Jordan is also going to be really, really good in this role because not only is he risking his job, he is willing to be on Coach Bobby's bad side, even though he's already there, so that Khalil can have a shot at being better. And Jordan is going to be everything you wanted in a coach, not really a coach, but like in a mentor. Because remember, Jordan always wanted to have his own guy, but he never really got that. So he will be extraordinary in this role for Khalil, and I can't wait to see it. Yes. Lastly, we have KJ. Okay, so in the beginning, we have KJ and his attitude because life isn't going his way, He wants to be settled in a home with his own room. Instead, he's sharing a room with his dad who can't cook but is trying to make him food. Like, this is typical teenage behavior. So, these are the little reminders we need on the show that these are actually kids. Like, they're still in high school. Like I said, he is in a home where they are allowed to express themselves. He is allowed to feel his emotions, and he's given grace, he's given room for that, which is resolved at the end of the episode, like where him and his dad come together when they earn the team's respect, okay, which is, yeah. So from here, only up from here. I hope he doesn't regress. He it's very, very I find it cute that he's still at the age where he gets embarrassed by his parents. Like, his mom sending him little texts, little words of affirmation, little quotes to help him throughout the year, and he's so embarrassed. Like, how kids behave, where at some point they don't want to give their moms kisses on the cheek in front of their friends, all of that. So that innocence is still very, very there. But it's kind of strange that he was trying to hide himself. Like, when you see his outfit, he is dressed down, he has a cap on, like he's trying to hide in plain sight, but then he gets to the field and he's trying to dominate the team, like to enforce his presence. Like, sir, there's no either or. You're supposed to find middle ground with that, and Tori helps him realize that, okay, for you to be a team leader, you have to be a teammate first. You have to show that you are here to show that for them as well, not just to control them. So yeah, they have fun, they attach the phone to the football and they warm up to each other, which I like. Yeah. So KJ, I mentioned in the last episode that I find him very, very naive and very childlike, and it showed in this episode because after he bumps into Tori, he is straight jumping into conclusions, thinking he knows everyone and what's going on. Like, he can't read the room. Even when he was speaking to Amina, like when she brought up her mom, her whole demeanor changed. Not when she brought up her mom, when he brought up his mom sending him codes, like her whole demeanor changed. She started becoming reserved, but he didn't pick up on that, okay? And he's like, I'm sure your mom is cooler. And She's like, no, my mom passed and all of that. So he's still struggling with that. But I mean, he's young. Life is about experience. So he'll get there. He was still oversharing, especially with Tori, but this time it was more on a mutual basis. Last time with Yasi, right, in episode 1, where he's telling Yasi about his dad leaving and not taking the job and all of that. Like, Yasi didn't care. Okay, like, we're barely friends. We met 2 weeks ago at football camp, and you're trying to tell me your whole life story, this time he waited until Tori shared to share his story. So yeah, I like that. He's growing a little bit. So yeah, this episode, I don't know, it felt a bit too reminiscent on the OG cast and the beginning of the show. I'm not a fan of it. I really want these characters to stand on their own. I don't want to watch the show and be reminded of other people. Like, I don't want to watch KJ on the screen and think, oh my gosh, this is something Spencer did in season 1. You get? So I hope this was a one-time thing. Different writers, different episodes. So I can't wait to see what happens in 703. Yeah, I think I've spoken way too much already, so we won't go into the trailer breakdown. Yeah, so this is it for today. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.